I'm going to continue to tell you this message and show you where I'm making changes in my life and in my business so that you can see that not only is it possible, but it's actually okay. And you're actually going to be okay. And it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So the thing about change is it's actually very natural. It's a very natural thing for us to go through. And quite frankly, it's what I was designed, what I was built to do. Hey, you just get me this week. So this week is a solo cast. It's just you and me. And I'm going to jump right in because I have something really important to tell you. You have permission granted to make any change to anything in your life, anything in your business, anything that's going on that's no longer serving you or isn't a match for where you're going in your life. And the reason I want to bring this up again, if you've been hanging out and listening to the podcast for any amount of time, you've heard me say this before. I've brought up on multiple episodes that it's okay to make changes and giving you examples of where I'm making changes in my business. But I'm bringing it up again because it feels like there may be people who haven't made the change because you heard it and you were like, yeah, that sounds great. Go you make those changes. But then when it came to your life, in your business, maybe you still felt some hesitation. So I'm going to continue to tell you this message and show you where I'm making changes in my life and in my business so that you can see that not only is it possible, but it's actually okay. And you're actually going to be okay. And it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So the thing about change is it's actually very natural. It's a very natural thing for us to go through. And quite frankly, it's what I was designed, what I was built to do. You've also heard me say that I'm a 1-3 in human design, and you don't have to know anything about human design to understand that. What I'll tell you is that my 3 line means that I try things, I test things out. I have to experience things in order to know what's correct for me. So I was talking to somebody recently about this, and actually talking in my membership recently to some of my clients about how do you know what's right for you? Sometimes it's a matter of like ruling out what isn't correct for you and trying things and having experiences, because how would you really know if you didn't try? Let's take ice cream for an example. How do you know if you don't like pistachio ice cream if you've never tried it? Or how would you know if you like chocolate ice cream if you haven't tried it? So as a kid, you may be like, yeah, I'll try all kinds of ice cream. And even as an adult, maybe you're giving yourself permission in that area of life to try things to see what you like, what you don't like. Sushi, another example. How do you know if you don't like raw sushi unless you try it? I know that I don't like it because I've tried it like 10 times and I still don't like it. My taste buds might change, but that's a different story. So point being, I want to model this. I am modeling this for you to help you realize that like it's okay. And so Beyonce mentions in one of her songs off the Renaissance album is called Heated. And in the album, in the song, the lyrics are flip flop, flippy flop, flopping ass bitch. Basically, society tells us that like if you keep making changes, then you're kind of flip flopping, you're wishy-washy. So we're getting this message, this conditioning from society that like decide what you want to do when you're a big girl, right? So like in high school, there was a lot of pressure towards the end of high school. Like, what are you going to study? What are you going to learn? What are you going to do? What are you going to do with your life? I don't know, right? It's a really tricky thing because we are kind of teaching kids, at least when I was in school and the way that I was brought up and what I saw the messaging around me in the world was like, learn how to do something and decide what you're going to do and go do that thing, right? Like my dad spent his whole life as a mechanic and running and owning a tire shop. My mom spent most of her life as a hairdresser. Well, she had other interests, but a lot of what we saw in our grandparents was like they had one thing that they did. That was the thing. I don't think that's where we're going anymore. I don't think that that's the life that we're supposed to live right now and where we're going. I don't think we're supposed to do the same thing forever and ever and ever. Amen. Or your Instagram handle, right? So this is your permission granted to make the change, whether it's your Instagram handle, closing your first Facebook group baby of 1,733 people, which yes, I did this weekend. I closed it down, or changing the name of your podcast, which brings me to welcome to the Nichole Joy Show. I have known for some time that this change was coming, and I've been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. And it just felt like the time is correct. We're heading into spring. This is all about new. This is a time of like rebirth again. And this is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to evolve. We're supposed to change. So yes, the podcast is changing her name again. It started in 2019 as Doulas Going Digital. In the fall of 2019, the podcast launched, Doulas Going Digital. And then in the spring of actually last year of 2022, I zoomed out a little bit to include more than birth workers, because I was already working with more than birth workers behind the scenes, and the podcast became Birth Your Online Business. About a year later, and it feels like zooming out again is necessary. It's no longer just about business. And in my true 3-line fashion, it's time to change the name again to better reflect what's happening internally and behind the scenes in my business. I've already been doing more than business mentorship, more than business guidance with my clients. And so this has already been happening. And now I'm ready to bring that expansion to you, to the podcast and public. And the reason why I'm expanding out beyond business at this point, in short, my soul is craving creative freedom. Sticking to only business feels constricting. It feels like a contraction. It feels stagnant. It feels limiting and like I'm being boxed in, even though I do talk about other things, right? And yes, if you stay with me and you still listen going forward, we're still going to talk about entrepreneurship and all of the other expressions of ourselves. So entrepreneurship, your business baby, is just one expression of your soul. There are lots of them, and I want to talk about them. So in coming episodes, you can expect to learn and hear through my lens lots of topics, including but not limited to motherhood, relationship with yourself, relationship with others, learning how to love the shit out of your body, holistic-ish wellness, metaphysical things, spirituality, not to be confused with religion, because I'm not so much into organized religion, but it's cool if you are, human design, astrology, and a whole lot more. We are really taking off the walls, taking off the box, unboxing the podcast and opening it up to talk about everything. Because here's the thing, you are a whole, entire, multifaceted ass human being, and you are not meant to be confined and boxed in by labels. Having said all of that, allow me to reintroduce myself. I'm Nichole Joy. I'm the host of the Nichole Joy Show. I'm the author of Just Start, the audiobook. I'm a guide in business and in life. I'm a mother to 3 little people. I'm a 90s R&B fanatic. I'm a big fan of healing and deconditioning in every area of life and rewriting our experiences. If you're into human design, you may have heard me talk about this before, and I've been increasingly into this for the last few years. I'm a 1-3 self-projected projector. If you're a fellow birth nerd, I've had a C-section, and then a VBAC in the hospital with drugs, and then an accidental unassisted home birth with my 3rd. Yeah, I had her on a yoga mat on my bedroom floor. It's very nice to meet you. I look forward to continuing to build our relationship together, learning with each other. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what you want me to speak on, what you want to learn from me. I will be bringing guest experts, and there'll be more solo casts as I learn and evolve in my own life and in my own business. I hope you enjoy this next iteration of the podcast. Sending you big love. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day and listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found value in what I'm sharing here. And if you did, can you do me a little favor and go and rate and review this episode? I will share a link in the show notes so that it's really easy to rate and review this podcast. It would mean a lot to me, as this is truly a passion project. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you next week.